Angry walked for many days, leaving the heat of the red hills behind. She followed the whispering breeze and the playful rustling of distant leaves. The path turned soft beneath her feet, and the scent of green things filled the air. She had entered the floating forest of Onya, a strange land where trees rose from the water like giants on long legs. The ground was hidden beneath wide lily pads, and the air was full of birds that spoke in riddles and laughter. Boats floated without rope, and leaves spun in circles, even when there was no wind. And every step Henry took was watched by hidden eyes, eyes curious, not cruel. She walked on footprints made from woven vine, and she crossed bridges built from spider silk and song. At night, the stars reflected in waters below, and the moon seemed to dance on every leaf. One evening, as fireflies painted the dark, Henry heard the sound of bells, soft, silver and steady. She followed them. At the heart of the forest, on a platform high in the trees, she saw a girl standing on one leg. Her eyes were closed, her arms spread wide, and tiny bells danced around her ankles. The girl did not fall. Even as the wind swept past, she stood still, floating, unmoved, like a reed that bends but never breaks. "I have come to find the wind dancer," Henry said. The girl opened her eyes. They were pale and distant, like mist. "I was the wind dancer," she said. "My name is Tamno, but I do not dance anymore." "Why not?" Henry asked. Tamno lowered her leg and walked towards her, silent as air. "Wind once carried my sister away. She was my twin, my joy. We danced together. One day, I called the wind to lift us. It did, but it took her too high, too far. She did not return." Henry bowed her head. "I'm sorry." Tamno nodded once. "So now I stand, but I do not move." "Then let me move for you," Henry said. Tamno studied her with eyes that saw without looking. "If you wish to dance with the wind, you must first answer its riddle." She stepped aside, revealing a leaf tied to a tree by a single thread. It twisted in the breeze. "What has no shape but touches all?" Tamno asked. "What breaks silence yet makes no call?" Emily closed her eyes. She thought of the breeze through her hair, the wind that had carried the scent of her mother's cooking, the breath that lit the fire in Camel's cave. She opened her mouth and whispered, "The wind." Tamno smiled. "For the first time in many years, then you are ready." For the next moon, they trained. Tamno taught her how to breathe with the sky, how to hear the wind's many moods, soft like sleep, sharp like warning, fast like fear, slow like love. Emily learned to walk on air, to glide between three limbs, to turn a whisper into a push, a gush into a shield, a sigh into a song. "You do not control wind," Tamno said. "You become empty, and the wind fills you." Together, they danced across the canopy, spinning and swirling, laughing as the birds joined them in their flight. For the first time since her sister was taken, Tamno laughed, loud and free. On the day Angole left, Tamno removed a feather from her anklet. It was not of a bird, but carved from bone, white, smooth and humming. "This is the sound of my laughter," she said. "Hold it when you feel alone." Angole pressed it to her heart. "What is your sister's name?" Tamno looked up at the cloud. "Ego. She dances in the sky now." Then she turned and leaped from the platform, caught by the wind like a leaf. Angole watched her vanish into the trees. The wind around her felt different now. Not wild, not fierce, just alive. She had learned her second dance, and the wind had answered. Angole left the floating forest with the wind at her back and the feather of laughter in her satchel. The breeze whispered farewell as she entered a land where the air turned still and the trees gave way to rocks and dust. She walked into the Whispering Plateau, a place where sound was swallowed and time moved slow. The sun hung heavy above, but the shadows felt cool like river water. There was no bird here, no leaves, just stone, endless stone, some smooth, some sharp, all silence. At the edge of a great cliff, Angry met a woman shaped like land itself, broad, quiet, and powerful. She sat on a flat stone with her back straight and her eyes closed. Her hair was wrapped in thick ropes, and her feet were bare and dusty. "You seek the stone dancer," the woman said without looking. "Yes," Angry said. "Then stop moving." Angry froze. "No," the woman said, her voice firm. "Stop moving inside." Angry tried to steal her breath, her thoughts, her fears. But they buzzed and twisted like flies. Minutes passed, then hours. The sun crawled across the sky. Her leg itched, her back trembled, but she did not speak. At last, the woman opened her eyes. "Better." "You are not quiet, but you are listening." "I am Ojugo, the last dancer of stone." Angry bowed. "Please teach me." Ojugo stood and pointed to a large flat boulder. "Break it." "With what?" Angry asked. "With nothing." Angry stepped forward. She stared at the boulder. She shouted. She struck it with her palm. She stomped. Nothing. Ojugo shook her head. "Stone is not conquered by noise. It is moved by stillness. Sit, listen, then try again." Angry sat for 3 days. She did not speak. She ate dried fruit, drank little water, and slept beneath the stars. She listened to the sound of sand shifting, to the hum of the mountain, to her own heartbeat. Then she stood. She pressed her palm to the stone, and she breathed. The stone cracked, not with violence, but with peace. A soft split down the middle, like an egg opening to reveal new life. Ojugo smiled. "You did not break it," she said. "You reminded it how to change." For many days they trained. Anglin learned to hear the deep voice of the land, to call stones from the earth like rising fish, to walk with feet rooted so deep that the wind could not move her, to shield, to shape, to speak without speaking. One morning, Ojugo took her to a canyon where giant statues stood, buried in sand, warriors made of stone, some broken, some whole. "These are the guardians," she said. "They once danced with us, but when men began to build weapons, the guardians slept." Angry knelt before them. "I do not wish to wake them," she said, "only to remember." "That is why they may wake for you," Ojugo said softly. On the day of parting, Ojugo handed Angry a small pebble, warm and smooth. "If you are ever in danger, drop this. The ground will remember me." Angele closed her fingers around it. "What is the stone's strength?" she asked. "Not its weight," Ojugo said. "Its patience." Angele turned and began to climb out of the whispering plateau. Her steps were slower now, but each one steady, like the drumbeat of the earth itself. She had learned her third dance, and the stone had spoken.